Oh, I'm sorry. Did I break your concentration?
Somewhere between science and superstition.
We have such sights to show you.
Strange Eons. Welcome to Strange Eons Radio. That is Eric over there.
Hello, it is.
That's Vanessa over there.
Hi.
Hello. No, I'm not.
So weird.
I'm Kelly. Hey, normally I go into some kind of jag about, something that happened over the week or something. This one's going to be movie or series related, I guess, but I'm getting fucking tired of Titans. Big time.
Oh, are you? I haven't watched the last episode. It's not good.
It's just, they're not doing a good job of telling the story because they've got 16 storylines going on and there's not enough time spent on any of this stuff. And fucking Blackfire, who was a pretty big bad villain for the Titans, has turned into kind of like this spoiled princess that, they're taking care of in the mansion,
Right.
all this shit. And then, look, I'll say this, and I'm old, my memory is going. And so when Jason Todd got killed by the Joker at the beginning of the season, I didn't really wonder where Batman was and why Batman is not a part of this and all this stuff. And I kind of remembered then that at the end of season 1, I think it was, Batman killed the Joker.
Did he?
Yeah, see?
Oh.
Huh.
And then I was like, oh shit. So then the reason he did that was because the Joker killed Jason Todd.
Mhm.
And that's all starting to kind of come back to me now. And I'm like, okay. The problem with this, they've moved the Titans to Gotham.
Right.
And this is now very Batman centric.
Mm.
Oh.
And it's leading into what would be a storyline I didn't love, which was Batman disappears and now Nightwing, Robin, the Red Hood, they're all like trying out the mantle of the Bat. And that only works because so much time had passed in the actual comics that you could believe that the Red Hood might take on the mantle of the Bat. And there's just no possible way to do that now. And Tim Drake's Robin, who we got introduced to very briefly, has not even become Robin yet. So I'm like, what's going on with this story? It's just too fucking much.
It's sort of like they brought in a new showrunner or something that said, everybody, you have to have Batman. It's DC. You have to. You just can't be like the Teen Titans were so good for 2 seasons, I know, but it'll be better with Batman, right?
It's just like, what a bummer. I just want I want to see some Titan stories, and I want to focus on these guys being young adults instead of having to deal with Batman. And they've really turned Batman into kind of a psychopath, which I kind of like, but then I would much rather this be a story about Nightwing and Batman then.
Yeah, it sounds like they've lost faith in their concept.
Or here's the problem with this new fan culture is they can scream really loudly and get a show canceled and everything just because they don't like the casting of a particular person.
Yeah.
So now you're just like, well, these are all the storylines they loved over the last 40 years of Titans. Let's jam it into this season.
Oh man. Well, I went to the theater yet again.
Ooh.
I know. I feel like I get to do it about once a week, so it's very exciting. I get to tell you guys all about it. I saw the new M. Night Shyamalan movie.
Okay.
Old.
Yeah. See, that's sort of after the trailer. That's about what I felt like. It's like,
It's like, you guys remember The Happening?
Oh no.
Yeah.
Yeah. You remember how it seemed like nobody got directed and all the shots were stupid, like stupid angles for no reason.
Yeah.
And there were long pauses for no reason and people were looking in weird directions for no reason. It's like he brought back that style of whatever that style is. Like there are talented people in there and I'm like, am I watching a stage play? Like, what is that? Do you have to go and change costumes behind scenes before we show you again? Like, what is going on? it has a really ludicrous ending.
Yeah, I saw what it was someplace online. I was going, wow, that's really stupid.
Well, I'm sorry. It has like 4 endings. So it's like one of them would have been fine, but then it kept going and going. And it's like almost like afraid to let your audience just potentially judge you for where you stopped. And it's just, no, you don't have to tidy up every single little loose end. First of all, you can't. And second of all, this is stupid. It became, you don't want to explain weird mythology. And it was getting frustrated. But speaking of old, I did also bring.
Oh, your glasses.
The glasses.
The
glasses that.
So let's remind the audience that you bought these very nice, expensive glasses.
From Barcelona.
Tortoiseshell.
But you were only able to try them on with a mask on your face.
Correct.
And you look amazing with these glasses and a mask.
But as soon as I don't have a mask, I think they're really bad.
Well, let's us be the judge of that.
Okay. Well, do you want to have mask view where I can just cover my mouth?
I just want to see
You just want to see the actual ones.
All right. Glasses, yeah.
All right.
Well, it's not Elephant Man hideous.
Yeah, I was going to say, I was expecting, George Romero or
No,
something.
you have to remember.
Oh, that is much hotter.
If I cover my mouth and the lower half of my face.
God, I wish you'd do that all the time.
Then, I know, my nose is very big, but...
Talk about the mouth part. But.
Man, everything's so in focus right now. It's really, whoa. It's a lot.
I'll be honest, I don't see much of a difference between these styles, and they look fine to me.
You spot maybe like the spots along the top and those bug you or something.
I think it's where they lay, like in comparison to my eyebrows. And there's just something about the weight of it just feels off and just was not how I thought it was going to look. So
actually, the longer you wear them, the more I like them too. So,
oh no!
So I don't see the problem with it, but I do understand that we spend our time looking in mirrors and reflections of ourselves all the time, and so
It would start to really bug me after a while, and I think I just need glasses where I can actually try them on and see my whole head while I'm doing it. And I think there is actually something wrong with the focus because I can see you in focus like really good. I don't think I've seen you in focus ever this good. Jeez. But the Thing poster, the behind you, it's totally fuzzy.
Oh yeah, that's not even the Thing. What are you talking about?
Oh no!
Army of Darkness you're looking at.
Oh God!
I gotta say,
I'm gonna take these off. I'm getting
holy
seasick.
cow! I just saw I just got a flashback to what's that movie? You took off your glasses, you kind of shook out your hair, and I'm like, holy cow, Vanessa, you're beautiful.
She's all that.
There
it's really
you go.
Funny.
Thank you.
The glasses I'm currently wearing, sorry, Mom, I'm going to out you. I bought them and put them on and took a picture selfie for Facebook. And my mom was like, why do you just try to make yourself look so bad?
Damn!
Holy cow!
Ouch!
I don't know that she realized
dropping some truth bombs.
What it sounded like when she said it, but I was like, "Yes, I understand that these glasses are not typical like glasses. I get that. I kind of was excited for the Malcolm X look and just really liked it, and was like, man, I want to go for that 1960s whatever. It's fine. I dig it, but I would like glasses like a new pair because I'm really tired of looking this way.
Can you not get contacts or just not want to get contacts?
I could. I just haven't done it. I don't know. I don't like touching my eye.
I didn't either. I was when you get contacts, they give you like a little training session. Mm-hmm. And there's like 6 people in this thing I was in. I was the last person to get my contacts in because I hated it, but I'm totally fine with it now.
Huh. Okay. Well, maybe I'll give it a whirl because this is a really expensive mistake. If you don't like your glasses, that's a lot of money out the window. So, yeah. Anyway.
Okay. So I have no glasses. Sorry.
I know it's such a side note, but
a good one. So I watched I think this is a 7 release. The Boys Next Door. This is Charlie Sheen, Penelope Spheres film in the mid 80s.
Wow, I'm not familiar with this at all.
Huh.
It's well done. Have you seen her film Suburbia?
Yes.
It's sort of along those lines. I mean, they're not punks or anything, but they're 2 disenfranchised asshole kids. Charlie Sheen is one, and I forgot the name of the other guy. maybe it's because of the movies I watch in general, but this was promoted to me as being just really, really violent and disturbing. And it is violent and disturbing, but nowhere near the level. It's kind of something like a softer version of Natural Born Killers or something, where these two guys go on a killing spree. They're spree killers, even though, of course they call them serial killers. Like, they did all their killing in one night. That's a spree killer. But part of something that probably doesn't bode well for the film. The end thing where the cops are coming to them and they're trying to run and get away, they end up in a mall. And I spent as much time trying to spot mall stores that I recognize from the 80s. Like Camelot, the clothing store or something like that was there, and all these things going, oh, I remember that. As opposed to, it's like
the story.
Yeah. But it's well done. It's really well directed. It's really, really well acted, but it just wasn't quite what I thought it was going to be.
Could it be that, for the time, it was really violent and disturbing,
Yes.
and we are unfortunately living in that kind of world, and so that's not that big a deal anymore?
Yeah, I think you're right. Yep. Yep. That is true.
I saw a movie I really liked, The Protogé.
I've heard a lot of films with that.
This is brand new. Maggie
okay.
Q, Samuel L. Jackson, Michael Keaton.
Oh,
nice.
I was wondering if this movie was worth watching or not.
Well, I think it depends on whether you like this kind of story. It's very much John Wick kind of thing. She's an assassin that has been raised by Samuel L. Jackson, and then somebody murders him, and so she is going out for revenge. And it's just, we're seeing a lot of this, Black Widow and Jolt and all this, just kick-ass chicks doing stuff like that, and I liked it.
Cool.
It's nice to see Michael Keaton in a role like this.
Is he like a bad guy or a?
He's like a very charming bad guy.
Oh,
I mean,
that.
you like him a lot, but he is not a good person.
Excellent.
Yeah, he's good for that.
Yeah.
It's hard not to like Michael Keaton. So when he's evil, it works well. That's cool. Where was this? Was this a new theater?
It is in theaters now.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been debating whether or not to go and check this out, but
when you said you went and saw Old, I was like, okay, so The Protégé is out, Shang-Chi is out. Why?
I am going to see Shang-Chi as soon as we're done. So,
like today?
Yeah, I'm seeing it today.
Okay.
Yeah, no. I would have seen it earlier, but there was stuff going on, so.
Wow.
You'll have to tell me how they pronounce the name in the movie. Because as a kid, I pronounced it Shang-Chi.
Yeah.
And then I have a Chinese friend who was like, oh, you're going to go see Shang-Chi? And I was like, what? My mind was blown. Is that how you pronounce that? I'm feeling very ugly American right now.
Yes, I will definitely report back.
So, yeah, I want to know how Marvel pronounces it.
Yeah.
Well, something that I did see, I mean, with Crypticon, I think I ended up binging a lot of films that I was going to talk about on various panels. But one that I watched that I hadn't seen since seeing in the theater, it was a really weird rewatch, which was the 2018 Suspiria.
Oh, okay.
So, I mean, not because of the actual film, like, I've seen the film, but I feel like there's a different cut. Like, I feel like there was pieces missing that I remember from watching in the theater.
I think there is. I think the theatrical had a cut down version to what was released.
Yeah, because there was a lot of setup with like the mom and how like she had this relationship with this mother figure. And then there was some other stuff that I was like, I swear to God that there was these moments that are now missing. So I'm a little concerned that this is going to be one of those movies where there's like, 4 versions floating around and to figure out which one's the right one. And I feel like they've set themselves up for a little bit of a trap with that.
Did you like it more on a second viewing or less?
Because it was a little different and I think I was watching it for different reasons, I didn't like it as much, but I noticed a lot more in there. So something that I really enjoyed about it, for example, was that in the original, the camera moves and cuts kind of go with these sort of long, dreamy, to the music, almost like Two Goblins soundtrack. And it feels like a long dance versus the cuts in this version are very much cut like specifically to frenetic dance movements. So instead of being to the music, it's definitely to the movement of the people, and it's to give you a different. It's faster, and so I kind of started like diving into, okay, how is this edited, and how is this put together differently than the original, and so that was its own version of fun. But I definitely was like, I don't love the fake 70s moments where they're like zoom in for no reason and like diopter for no reason. It's fine, but like I don't need that to know I'm in the 70s. Like you don't need to be like, well, it's Suspiria, so therefore we're gonna do these camera things that they had to do before because they didn't have the freaking equipment. It's like don't do that. It's fine.
Well, I've got a manga to talk about. It's also in a movie, but holy shit! I know you've seen the film, but have you ever read Uzumaki?
I'm trying to think. I read the book.
The manga is messed up.
Okay.
Holy shit! It is a disturbing read.
Really?
It's so dark. And after reading it, and it's crazy. I could see why if somebody's a huge fan of that, they'd have a hard time with the movie. But also at the same time, it's like, yeah, they're not telling that story in one movie. That's like it's huge storyline. It was like reading through, going, yeah, that moment. It was so well done. And then I'm out there, and evil comes back up. And those friggin' fly spiral things.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm seeing spirals all over the place in movies.
Oh, no.
It's like, no, stop it.
It's happening.
Stop it. So highly recommended.
Geez, that must have come out 30 years ago.
Probably, yeah. It's pretty rough looking manga, but it was like the whole series was like, I think $9 or $10 on Comixology or something.
Right.
Well worth the price because it goes for a while. It's weird. It's creepy.
Whatever happened to that? That I thought Cartoon Network or Adult Swim was doing a Junji Ito series.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, they put out that little spoiler like frame. I can't even remember. I don't even think it was animated, right? It was like just a little weird thing, and then nothing.
Yeah.
Huh. Yeah, I never saw that again though.
They'll just pretend like it never happened.
Somebody enjoying their new bed upstairs.
God.
Why don't we take a little break? Oh, before we do that, I just want to throw out real quick, What We Do in the Shadows has come back, and there's 3 episodes out now. It's very funny. I think it's much stronger than, they always start out kind of
clunky.
And then by the end of the season, you're like, oh yeah, this is great. Well, this has started out really great.
Oh,
so
nice.
That's good to hear. I tried to rewatch season 1 and I was like, man, this isn't holding up the way I wanted it to.
Right.
Cool.
Okay, so let's take a break. We're coming back and we're talking comic book movies that are not DC or Marvel.
Cool.
Hey, Spidey, isn't Marvel's new Pizzazz magazine fantastic? Fantastic, but not perfect. But Pizzazz has the lowdown on Jaws, too, and more Sean Cassidy picks than his mother. It's sensational. Sensational, but not perfect. How about Pizzazz's Goofy Guide to TV? It's wild look at sci-fi movies. It's games, puzzles, comics. What could be more perfect? Me on the cover. Not the Hulk. Pizzazz, the almost perfect new monthly from the off-the-wall gang at Marvel Comics.
We have returned. This was my subgenre pick, and the whole idea was there's so many great comic book movies out there that are not DC and Marvel properties. Like we had talked about, They Live started out as a comic book. You can actually find that online. Very difficult to find hard copies of it now.
Yeah.
It was only like an 8-page comic story.
And it was
Oh, really?
the thing, and it inspired the movie, or it came out at the same time as the movie?
Oh, it inspired the movie. It came out
Wow.
very, very early. I think it
Whoa.
might be from the 70s even.
John Carpenter's such a nerd.
Well, he didn't write They Live.
I guess that's true.
But also like The Crow or Road to Perdition or Sin City or 300, all these movies that were actual comic books first. So that was the idea. And with that in mind, I chose one of my very favorite movies, not just a favorite comic book movie, but in my top 10 movies of all time. And that is Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
Hey, what's up? I'll leave you alone forever now. You know this one girl with hair like this?
Yes, that's Ramona Flowers.
She's out of your league.
You know her? Tell me now.
She just moved here, got a job at Amazon.
I have to order something really cool.
Scott, are you waiting for the package you just ordered?
Maybe.
Scott Pilgrim?
Hi, I was thinking about asking you out, but then I realized how stupid that would be.
That's okay. You just need to sign for this, all right?
So do you want to go out sometime?
If I say yes, will you sign for your damn package?
So yeah, 8 o'clock? Come to this Battle of the Bands thing.
You have a band.
Yeah, we're terrible.
Mr. Pilgrim! I'm Ramona's first evil ex-boyfriend.
What?
Wait, we're fighting over Ramona?
Didn't you get my email explaining the situation?
I skimmed it. What was that all about?
If we're gonna date, you may have to defeat my 7 evil exes.
So what you're saying is we are dating?
I guess.
Does that mean we can make out?
Sure.
Scott Pilgrim! Prepare to feel the wrath of the League of Evil Exes.
Ramona dated twins.
At the same time? If you want something bad, you have to fight for it. Step up your game, Scott. Break out the L word.
Lesbian?
The other L word.
Lesbians?
What are you doing?
Getting a life.
You want to fight me for her? Why on earth would you want to do that?
Because I'm in love with her.
Scott Pilgrim versus the world.
Maybe next time we don't date the girl with 11 evil ex-boyfriends.
7.
Oh, that's not that bad.
So amazing. Edgar Wright. So good.
Oh, yes.
I'm glad we are on the same page for this because this is a movie I will fight people over.
You should.
2010, budget $60 million.
Wow.
Worldwide box office $48 million.
Oh, wow. I knew it didn't do well, but damn.
Did not do well. Rotten Tomatoes, the critics have it at 82%. The audience has it at 84%. So if you've seen this movie, you love this movie. The problem is nobody went to see it. It was, as you mentioned, directed by Edgar Wright, who directed 14 episodes of Spaced, Shaun of the Dead, Baby Driver, Last Night in Soho, which is just coming out, and he's doing the upcoming The Running Man adaptation.
That should be so fun.
Should be very strange. It's such a dark story.
Yeah.
Written by Michael Bacall, who wrote 22 Jump Street, and is writing The Running Man for him. But he is mostly known as an actor, has 53 acting credits.
What?
Yes. And of course, it is based on the comic by Brian O'Malley. It stars Michael Cera, who was in Superbad, Juno, 84 episodes of Arrested Development. It also stars Mary Elizabeth Winstead, who I have a massive crush on because of this movie.
Oh.
She was in 10 Cloverfield Lane, Death Proof. Just recently, she played the Huntress in Birds of Prey.
And Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln,
yes.
Vampire Slayer. Hunter.
And I'm just going to throw out a list of the other actors who are in this. Chris Evans, Aubrey Plaza, Jason Schwartzman, Kieran Culkin, Ellen Wong, and even Brie Larson is in this movie. So we are introduced to the faraway city of Toronto, where Scott Pilgrim is dating a high schooler. That's basically the preamble to the movie. And as we meet all of his bandmates, his friends, his sister, nobody really approves of this. It's not because of the age thing, because he is 22 and she is 17, because the relationship is almost sexless and it is very innocent. It is because he's treating it as it is not very important, because it isn't very important. It is kind of a rebound from his very bad last relationship. And as he explains it, it's just something that feels nice. He has a pretty girl to talk to and do things with, but that's it for him. Unfortunately, the girl he is dating Knives Chow, is falling madly in love with him. And who wouldn't? He's older. He's in a band.
There it is.
So Scott meets an Amazon delivery girl, Ramona Flowers, after having first seen her in a dream and then meeting her in real life at a party where he spectacularly embarrasses himself by trying to be cool, and she is just not interested. He loses interest in knives very quickly after meeting Ramona, but does not break up with her before pursuing Ramona. And this is kind of what this whole movie is about. It's a relationship movie, and it's how we are sometimes very careless with people that we care about. So when Scott's band, Sex Bomb, is playing in a battle of the bands, Scott is attacked by Ramona's ex-boyfriend, Matthew Patel. It is a spectacular superhero type fight. It is staged like a video game fight where video game graphics suddenly come on the screen and say fight. And it shows Matthew and Scott Pilgrim running towards each other with a big Versus logo in the middle. And it is just a blast. There's a bunch of huge punches and all this stuff. There is a Bollywood song in the middle of this particular fight. And when Scott finally defeats him, he explodes into a number of coins, which fall on the stage, and Scott picks it up. It turns out to be just enough to get him on the bus. He and Ramona are getting along great, and all of this is taking place within a matter of days. But Scott's very gay roommate, who really steals the show, tells him, "Look, I'm super happy for you and Ramona, but if you don't break up with Knives right now and make it official, then I'm going to tell Ramona all about Knives." So he finally breaks up with Knives, and Knives then sees him out with Ramona, and she decides that Ramona has stolen him away. And that's where we get back to this whole thing. Because he was careless with Knives' feelings, Knives now jumps to conclusions and all this stuff because she's madly in love with Scott, and he wouldn't do something like this to her. And just one of these movies that really hit hard for me. I'm sure that I have been careless with a lot of people's feelings in my life. So, yeah. So throughout the rest of this, Scott proceeds to get attacked by and defeats the next three of Ramona's exes. Hollywood actor and skateboarder Lucas Lee, who is Chris Evans, and fucking great in this role. He's
good.
So smarmy.
This is a pretty early one for him, right?
Yeah, but he'd already been Johnny Storm in the Fantastic Four movies.
Oh, of course.
And stuff like that. He also has to defeat superpowered vegan Todd Ingram, which is Brandon Ruth, who's also fantastic, and lesbian ninja Roxy Richter, who is played by the girl who played Michael Cera's girlfriend in a couple of episodes of Arrested Development, which I thought was really clever and smart.
Nice.
He also has to confront his own ex, pop star Envy Adams, who was the one who broke his heart earlier. It is all done in the same way. It's very funny. It's very dynamic. It's a very video game. There's all sorts of video game sounds going on when they're hitting each other. It's really interesting. They will knock each other through walls, through roofs, fall down on the ground and all this stuff. There's not one speck of blood in any of these fights. It's really great when he tricks the vegan into drinking soy in his coffee, and the vegan police show up, and that's just an amazing scene too. But with all this, Scott grows frustrated, and after an outburst regarding Ramona's dating history, she breaks up with him. She does one of these things early on too, where we're told that he's got to defeat her evil exes, and at one point he's angry at her, and they have a little argument, and she says, "You're basically just another evil ex waiting to happen." And it's like, oh God, I mean, this is just how we go through relationships. We're fantastic at the beginning, and then pretty soon we're going to be one of the guys that gets bad mouthed at the end because we were a prick. We're all pricks when it comes down to it.
I have no relevance to this concept. I could definitely relate to Knives But
sure.
Yeah.
I can relate to everybody in this movie because at one point in my life, I've cheated, I have broken up with, I've been broken up with, I have been cheated on, all of this shit, I think that's the brilliance of this movie. And it's really a bummer to me that it's not more popular. Although I think 10 years on, that it is finally being seen as the brilliant piece of filmmaking and relationship as it is. So anyway, at the next Battle of the Bands, Sex Babam defeats Ramona's fifth and sixth evil exes, who are these Japanese twins that are playing like trance music, and their music allows them to pull like dragons out of the air and everything. It's really great. It's so much fun. And it earns Scott an extra life. A little token spins above his head that he's able to grab, and it's +1. Anyway, despite all of this, Ramona has gotten back with her evil ex Gideon, the seventh ex. He then offers Sex Babam a record deal, which they take, except for Scott, who quits the band. And Scott finally challenges Gideon to a battle for the affection of Ramona, and it earns him the power of love and a bonus sword. He goes on this big, huge fight with Gideon, but then Knives interrupts the battle, and she starts attacking Ramona because, she stole Scott from him, and Scott is forced to finally adult and tell both of them, hey, I was both of you at the same time. I'm so sorry. And that kind of allows him to level up also. Mm-hmm. The climax follows a lot of video game tropes, some of which work really well. Some, I think there's a little bit of a stumble towards the end, but I just love this movie. I'm burning through it so I can talk about the trivia, which is plentiful.
Yeah.
So, the four cast members that make up the band Sex Babam spent several weeks learning how to play together as a band. Mark Webber, Allison Pill, and Johnny Simmons all had to learn their instruments from scratch, while Michael Cera had to dumb down his bass playing in order to not look like he knew more than the rest of them. Because they are a really bad band. I mean, they are not very good. At the first Battle of the Bands, and when fighting the first evil ex, Scott is seen wearing a Plumtree t-shirt. Plumtree is an all-girl indie rock band that released the song Scott Pilgrim on their 1998 album Predicts the Future. Mm-hmm. The song was the inspiration for Brian Lee O'Malley to create the graphic novel's title character.
Oh, crazy.
The stunt doubles of Lucas Lee, who is Chris Evans, are actually his actual stunt doubles. And they all look just like him. It's so funny.
That's amazing.
The film is heavily inspired by and features numerous references to Nintendo, such as the use of names, imagery, sound effects, and music from classic Nintendo games and scenes featuring various Nintendo video game consoles. Ironically, the video game adaptation of the film was only initially released for PlayStation 3, Xbox 360, and PC.
It's really hard to get onto Nintendo. I'm just going to say that right now.
Early in the film, when Sex Babam are practicing in the house, their amps have logos that read Lame Brand as the brand name. And then near the end, when they are performing at the Chaos Theater, after Gideon has put some money behind him, their amps all have a logo that reads Sweet Brand.
Jeez. The naming through this whole thing is amazing.
There's so much going on in here. Ellen Wong, who played Knives Chow, she made 2 homemade Sex Babam t-shirts for her character to wear. And one of them, the one that's in the theater, in the movie, is the one that Edgar Wright said, yes, this looks appropriately awful as a homemade t-shirt. But then they put the other one on the DVD extras as well. This is interesting. The first draft of the script for the film was completed after only 2 of the 6 Scott Pilgrim books were drawn. Oh, wow. And the movie ending is much different than the comic ending, which had not been figured out by the time the movie came out.
Oh.
Yeah.
Weird.
The band Metric recorded 2 versions of their song Black Sheep, which is my favorite song on the soundtrack. One had the vocals of lead singer Emily Haynes, which was included in the official soundtrack. The other version featured Brie Larson's vocals, which became a fan favorite and was used in both the film and in a promotional music video. However, the latter version was nowhere officially available. Due to its popularity, the version containing Larson's vocals was later included in the 10th anniversary edition of the film soundtrack, which has just come out, released in June of 2021. That version became such a hit that it brought Brie Larson back to the Billboard charts for the first time since 2005. Did you know she was a pop singer before she was an actor?
I did not.
Yes.
No,
My God. What?
So, yeah.
Well,
I don't know if you guys have seen this on the DVD extras and everything. An alternate ending was filmed in which Ramona left to explore what she was like without a boyfriend, and Scott and Knives end up back together. That's the ending that the actual book has.
Oh.
Because you're supposed to realize, and you do in the film, when Scott and Knives are fighting against Gideon, that they really complement each other and they're good for each other. And Ramona tells him, you're supposed to be with this person. I've lived my life as the side piece to everybody, and it's time to find out who I am by myself. And so you see everybody kind of go the way they're supposed to. But the test screening of that, the audience was like, he spent the entire movie fighting for Ramona, and he doesn't get Ramona. And I'm like, you guys don't deserve this movie. You don't get it. You do not deserve this movie. Finally, I would tell anyone who likes this movie to check out the Wikipedia page. The amount of trivia, essays, and everything that are on that is literally pages and pages worth of information. It is so well loved by the people who do love it.
Wow.
That's my movie, Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
I have to say, watching Edgar Wright movies, they're so satisfying as an editor. Oh my God. It's just like so nice to watch all those sound effects perfect, all the cuts perfect, all the moments so well played.
It really makes me long for what his Ant-Man would have been like.
I know.
Oh, yeah.
And I kind of get why maybe they were having a problem with it, because he is such a visionary that if he makes this movie and then they throw Ant-Man into another movie, it's like, oh, I thought I liked Ant-Man, but I guess I just liked Edgar Wright's Ant-Man.
And he'd probably stylistically be very different from a lot of Marvel movies, which can be a problem for him.
That's it. I mean, they even had a bit of a problem with throwing in the Guardians of the Galaxy in that Avengers movie, and you could tell they were trying to kind of be James Gunnsian in this, and it was like, oh, you guys, you don't quite get it.
Yeah.
It's not just a cool 70s song.
Yeah, it was a little bit jarring. I remember seeing when they showed up for the Avengers film, you're like, man, this you guys seem like weird in this. Like you think you're funny and you're not funny, but you were funny and you really were funny. But now in this context, I don't want anything from you. So that makes sense. But I'm still bummed. They shouldn't have hired him if they didn't want to see his version.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that brings us to my comic movie choice.
Yes.
This was such a hard one to choose because there are so many amazing films out there, and I wanted to do them all, but there was one that I think Kelly maybe you suggested that I was like, oh crap! Now that you've said it, I can't not do that one, no matter what I feel personally about it. So I went with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles from 1990.
Our family grows. The city itself will be our playground to use as we please, rewarding ourselves and punishing our enemies.
We've been looking for you, Miss O'Neill.
There is a new enemy, freaks of nature. Together, we will punish these creatures.
What the heck was that?
Looked like sort of a big turtle in a trench coat.
Awesome! Yeah! I love being a turtle!
Nice.
It's been a little while since I've seen this film, so it was, good to have a refresher. Although it's one of those weird things where when you're a kid, you see a film so many times that when you're watching it as an adult, if somebody asks you what happens, you kind of vaguely remember. But the minute you start watching it, you're like, I know literally everything that's happening down to a T. So Rotten Tomatoes for this guy, a really big gap, 40% for critics. 81% for audience.
That sounds about right.
Yeah. It's pretty crazy. The budget for this was $13.5 million. The box office was $202 million.
Did all right.
So you'd say this was a hit.
It was considered to be one of the most successful, I want to say, indie films, or that was considered a little bit more on the independent side until Blair Witch Project.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it held that title for 9 years. The director, Steve Barron, did 111 different projects, mostly music videos, but a lot of them, like Madonna, Michael Jackson. He did the Billie Jean music video. Bryan Adams, ZZ Top, Culture Club, Kenny Loggins, David Bowie, Paul McCartney. He also directed Coneheads. And he's done since then, I'd say he's doing a lot of TV movies now and some documentaries about music. So he's kind of changed gears a little bit. The writer on this, of course, the characters are from Eastman and Laird, the authors, the geniuses behind Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. They definitely knew it was going to be a success when they started. Bobby Herbrick was one of the writers for the screenplay. He has only got 4 things behind his name, including Small Wonder, 3 episodes, and The Jeffersons, 1 episode, Different Strokes, 1 episode. He's mostly an actor, but he was also in Small Wonder, Different Strokes, etc. So kind of a weird one. I think he's just kind of a day player, or just dabbling maybe. Screenplay also by Todd W. Langen, who had done some episodes of Wonder Years and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2. And Todd W. Langen, who's done 4 things, including Pursuit of Happiness TV series, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Based on that
I have no idea. Or the film would have been based on it, I think.
Oh, no. I was thinking,
it's older.
Never mind. When he said that, I thought Happiness. How would they make that into a TV show?
No.
Never mind.
Anyway, there were several editors on this, but I do want to point out one, Sally Menke. She is Quentin Tarantino's editor. This was one of her first ever jobs, and she was fired partway through because they didn't like the direction she was taking the movie. So
she'll never amount to anything.
Yeah. I know. Poor girl. Her chance is over. Starring, there are a lot of names involved in this because each of the turtles not only has an actor inside the suit, but also has a voice actor. Mm-hmm. So you get a couple of crossovers. So I'll just start off with the easy ones. Judith Hoag, who played April O'Neil. She's been in 109 things, mostly TV episodes. She does a lot of just one-offs for TV, but she was in Magicians, 40 episodes of Nashville, and 14 episodes of Big Love. You also have Elias Cotes as Casey Jones. He's been in 90 things, including 106 episodes of Chicago PD, Chicago Fire, Chicago Med. He was also in The Killing, 12 episodes, and a lot of one-offs. He's been in a lot of films as kind of smaller or medium-sized roles like Fallen, Gattaca, Crash, Prophecy, At People, Zodiac. He's been around for a while. It's really weird because as an adult, I recognize him so clearly because my mom watches all of the Chicago stuff. And I'm like, you, but with long hair and you're like rude, I guess. Weird. It's strange because he's so like straight-laced in the stuff he plays now. And then of course we have the Splinter is played by Kevin Clash. He's been in 218 things, but you would know him as Elmo.
Oh, jeez.
I know.
Wow.
I know. Mixed feelings there. James Sato as Shredder. He's been in MASH, Eli Stone, Always Be My Maybe. So he's gone on to be a pretty good actor, obviously.
Very recognizable too.
Absolutely. His voice was done by David Macron, or
Macron?
Who's in a lot of voice stuff. He does Borg voices for Star Trek Voyager. And then also just side note, Skeet Ulrich and Scott Wolf both appear as unnamed members of the Foot Clan, but are uncredited. But I won't say too much of the credits for the turtles themselves, other than just kind of we've got 2 people per turtle. So Josh Payas as Raphael and passenger in a cab. David Foreman as Leonardo and gang member. I believe Josh Payas actually did the voice and the body. David Foreman was Leonardo the body. He's done a lot of stunt work, including for Skyfall, Last Samurai, Game of Thrones. But Brian Tochi did the voice. He was from Revenge of the Nerds, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3, Police Academy 3, and lots of voices for Avatar Last Airbender. Jeez. Yeah, I know. It was bad. Leif Tildman is Donatello in person. And also he was in Dinosaurs as Robbie Sinclair. He actually is now a location manager. And Corey Feldman played the voice of Donatello, which we would know from 133 things, including Stand By Me, Lost Boys, Goonies, and Friday the 13th Final Chapter. Last but definitely not least, Michael Sisti as Michelangelo and also plays the Pizza Man. He was a lot of miscellaneous characters in Muppets, and he played Charlene Sinclair in Dinosaurs. And Robbie Rest as Michelangelo's voice. He did the 2015 TMNT as Mondo Gecko. He's Transformers voice as Tricerashot. Lots of Naruto. Just a ton. The voice actors are often in like a zillion things. It's so hard to talk about the plot for this because y'all know.
Yeah.
But
Turtle Swamp.
Swamp?
Sewer.
Pizza. Mutagen. Pizza. Yes. Cowabunga. For anyone who doesn't know Ninja Turtles, all right, here we go. The place, New York City. The situation, crime is up. Wallets are being stolen. Entire vans filled with TVs are gone in the blink of an eye. A mysterious, fast-moving force of young people are sneaking around and stealing mostly electronics. They are led by the Shredder, who's a big villain who's an expert at ninjutsu, and he wears a big metal helmet and like purple, but in this red. The Foot are ordered to silence reporter April O'Neil, who's figured out that they are behind the crime wave and is trying to report on it. Raph / the Turtles save her by killing a light as she's getting mugged, and then making a lot of really fun ninja sounds in the dark. And then the light comes back on, and she's like, I don't know what happened. And a sewer lid goes din, 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 din. The Ninja Turtles are 4 turtles who are brothers. They walked in some mutagen when they were young and grew and grew and grew until they're basically people, but turtles. And they have an attitude. They are 15 years old in this movie. They are celebrating their success with saving April. They think she's super hot, by the way. They say it a lot while watching her on the news. It's incredibly uncomfortable, especially because I thought Michael Bay was being weird with the Ninja Turtles. No, it's anyway. They're making a lot of bad 90s jokes. They sound basically, imagine Bill and Ted. It's just that. It's just Bill and Ted, but 4 of them just going over each other, trying to make zingers out of awesome, tubular, spectacular, whatever. Their master, Splinter, who also is a rat who went through mutagen in this version, which is different than the comic, where in the comic he was a man who had mad skills, and a rat who had mad skills kind of came together in the mutagen and became one. He was a rat who was copying his master who had mad skills and then got mutagen and became a guy. So he's a separate, you guys. The lore is tough to explain. Just know it's very simple. You don't really have to worry. It's a fun, large rat, and he is hilarious because he's the straight man who occasionally makes jokes. He congratulates them on their successful saving of April, but reminds them that they must remain in the shadows because they must keep stealth since they are turtles walking around in a city with weapons and skills. Raph is super pissed because he lost his scythe. So he decides he's going to go out to a movie to blow off some steam. He's convinced he can get the scythe back, but Splinter tells him not to do it. He goes out to see Critters and thinks it sucks. On his way out of Critters, while making fun of it, he's like, why do people make this garbage? It's very good. He runs into some robbers and just basically trips them, gives the purse back to the ladies who had them stolen, and starts to walk off when Casey Jones comes out of nowhere and delivers a secondary beating to these thieves. He's like, yo, dude, come on, stop. I already did this. And dude's like, hey man, what are you talking about? I'm here. They deserve it or something. And then they get into it. They start fighting. There's a lot of baseball references, some hockey references, because Casey Jones is an ex-hockey player and carries around a hockey mask. I wonder if that's an homage to anything in particular. And a giant hockey stick, which he uses to just dole out justice on the streets. We do need to remember this is New York, right after the 80s. So shit be weird out there. It makes all kinds of sense. So April is yet again in trouble with the foot. Shredder has called them out to really get her. I don't know if they're supposed to murder her or what, but anyway, she's alone on a subway platform when she is attacked and knocked unconscious. But Raphael just happens to be there at the time. He fights off the foot and he brings her to the lair. Now, he is followed down to the lair, but does not know it. He brings her to the turtles and Splinter, who are all like, this is awkward. She wakes up, she screams a bunch, they scream a bunch, everyone screams a bunch. And then Splinter, who looks kind of gross when he walks, like moves over to her and he stands over her and he explains the origins of the turtles, sewers, ooze, etc. Taught to fight. Turtles take April back to her home and hang out and eat some frozen pizza. When they return to their lair later, they discover the hideout has been trashed and Splinter has been kidnapped. They return to April's apartment to basically look like sad puppy dogs, and she takes them in and they crash there. So at this point, Splinter is basically been kidnapped by Shredder. They have a shared history. When Splinter was a rat, Shredder attacked his master, and they were fighting over the love of a good woman. And he killed Shredder, killed the master as well as the woman, and the rat got out of the cage and scratched his face a bunch, so he has a big scar. So Shredder hasn't quite figured this out yet, but he knows he doesn't like this rat, and something is familiar in the style of karate that he's doing. Rat foo. And he's like, there's something strange. You guys are really talented, these turtles.
Rat A. Oh. Thank you. I'll show myself out.
You know what? That's the level of this film. So the turtles are crashing over with April, and Raph and Leo get into a huge argument. Raph basically says, Leo, you're a terrible leader. And then he goes up onto the roof to angry fight literally no one by himself. Casey spots him on the roof and sees that the foot arrived to ambush him. A giant fight breaks out on top of the roof. The roof actually, Raph is thrown in through the roof. The rest of the turtles get involved. And there's a lot of like chopping, like they have these big axes, the Foot Clan, and they keep chopping at the floor. And then when a bunch more come in, the floor collapses down into an antique shop below. And then of course, like a fire breaks out. So they have to escape quickly. They get out of there and they basically have nowhere left to go. So they go to April's parents' abandoned farm. and hang out to recuperate.
That seems like a good option.
I want to like skim over the story, but it's really
I'd say skim a little more.
yeah. It's really so specific. They recoup while they're there. April and Casey start to fall for each other. Meanwhile, Splinter is teaching a young white kid about honor. He's one of the thugs. Eventually, the turtles, Kate and Casey regroup, go out, save Splinter. Giant showdown on top of a roof. Shredder goes to attack the turtles, almost kills Leo when Splinter shows up and says, "No, I challenge you." And so, of course, Shredder is stoked and is like, "Let's do this," runs at him full speed. And Splinter, with just the flick of a wrist and a nunchuck, throws him over the edge of a building. And this is the part that always gets me as an adult. I never thought twice about it when I was a kid. So Shredder falls off the roof and into a garbage truck below. And Casey presses a button inside and it crushes him to death. And he goes, "Whoops." And I'm like, you just crushed a man to death in a garbage compactor. Now, look, he's not a good guy, but I don't think he deserves that kind of death. And it's not funny, but they play it so hard for laughs. So
he's a shredder that got crushed.
Oh,
there's no humor there, is there?
He didn't get shredded, though. So there's that.
Cheese grater.
The best part of the ending, though, is the rap song that leads us out with "Turtle Power" by Partners in Crime. Crime spelled with a K and a Y. The good about this movie, watching it again as an adult, the animatronics are actually super freaking impressive in hindsight. Even Splinter, when he is like chained up in the lair, starts tearing up, and it feels pretty raw. Like his facial movements are really precise and looks really, really good. The story overall actually isn't too bad. The actors are generally pretty good, especially Casey and April. New York City feels grimy as fuck. Like they got it down. Like a lot of now, if you had a children's show set in New York City, is not going to look like this. It feels like you don't want to be there. The kids' hangout, likewise, feels really fucking awesome. There's arcade machines, there's bubble gum, there's skateboarding. I remember thinking it was cool as a kid, and I was like, yeah, I fucking want to be there. Dude, I would go there right now and hang out with all y'all. This looks awesome. It's much better than any of the follow-up films. It promotes pizza in a really fun way, and the music's great. What sucks are the jokes. Those do not age well. All four turtles blend together in a not fun way. One of my biggest complaints is that Donatello, my favorite character, just seems like nothing. He just kind of, I don't know, he sort of sucks. Didn't enjoy him in it. And he's just all his cool, like, I'm smart and I'm going to figure things out. It's all completely gone. Michelangelo's unique, like, I'm the one making jokes because everyone else is doing it, is all gone. Raph and Leo are definitely the two with any kind of personalities in this movie. The sound effects in this are cheesy as hell. There's like a lot of boing and whoa and just a lot of bad stuff. And there's this weird feeling where it's almost like a little too adult and a little too kid at the same time. So this movie has a really strange feel about it. The script was based mainly on the early Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles comic, including the stories of the Turtles' origin, rooftop battle, going off to the farmhouse, and the battle with Shredder. Elements were also taken from the 1980s animated series, such as the Turtles' colored bandanas, love of pizza, elements of Michelangelo's character, and April O'Neil as a television reporter instead of a lab assistant, which was a big shock to me when I read the comics. I was like, wait, she's like a programmer. She's like a computer programmer assistant. What? And Baxter's her boss. What? It just really blew my mind. In the 80s, the first pitch of this from Eastman and Laird, they got their film treatment sent over to Roger Corman's New World Pictures. His idea of how it should be played out was to hire 4 comedians who were popular at the time: Gallagher, Sam Kinison, Bob Goldthwait, and Billy Crystal. He was going to have the actors dressed up in turtle shells with their arms and legs painted green. And then in another treatment at the time, they took the turtles into an R-rated territory and included a scene with partially nude nuns on roller skates fighting the heroes. So obviously that didn't happen.
Wow.
Yes.
I think that was in the comic, though, wasn't it? That sounds familiar.
Could be. The comic, the Eastman and Laird black and white comic is so different from anything the Turtles have been since then.
Yeah, absolutely true. I mean, it's just a strange feeling knowing kind of where the cartoon ended up going, to think like, oh, it could have been a really raunchy, like R-rated production by Roger Corman, which means it would look bad.
Oh, yeah.
The turtles were actually created by Jim Henson's Creature Shop in London. Jim Henson said that the creatures were the most advanced that he had ever worked with. They were made out of fiberglass and then remolded out of clay. They were produced as molds to cast the whole body in foam rubber latex. The work of the shop was completed within 18 weeks. However, Henson didn't really like the level of violence in the film. He viewed the violence as excessive, pointless, and not his style. This was the last theatrical film that Jim Henson would be in production on. He died about a month and a half after the film's release. The motors that were built in each of the turtles' heads to create the facial expressions were packed very tightly and into an uncomfortable. It was very uncomfortable for the performers to wear the suits. Josh Payas had described the noise of the heads as being like in a Grand Central Station at rush hour with a tin can over your head. When Raphael gets knocked in the trash can by Casey Jones when they're fighting at the beginning, the face and the animatronics inside the head caved in and broke his nose. Oh. Yeah. Raph's original stunt guy had to be replaced by one of the foot soldier stuntmen named Ken Scott. To help disguise how cumbersome and slow the turtles' costumes were, dialogue scenes were shot at 23 frames per second so that they played at a normal speed of 24 frames per second and appeared a bit sharper. For the same reason, fight scenes were shot at 22 or 23 frames per second. Just really, really weird to think about.
Yeah.
All of the actors who portrayed the turtles had cameo roles in it. So, for example, Raphael played that passenger in the back of a taxi cab. Michelangelo played a pizza delivery man. David Foreman was a gang member. And Leif Tildman played, who's Donatello, also played a foot soldier. A couple of other just final fun things. Robin Williams was a big fan of the franchise, and he provided Judith Hoag, who played April, with information regarding her character through his comic book collection. The two were co-starring in Cadillac Man when the Turtles went into production. Originally, Steve Barron wished to replicate April O'Neil's jumpsuit from the early Mirage comics and the cartoon. It was going to look way more closely with the yellow color and a big red hair, as opposed to the green jumpsuit and brown hair that she has. However, Judith Hoag found the jumpsuit horrifying, and the idea was nixed. A yellow raincoat April wears at the beginning of the movie is an homage to the jumpsuit, and about as far as they could get her to do it. It was originally planned to be made and released in the mid-'80s. When the cartoon was on, before the cartoon was on air. So it's definitely, that explains why the pitches were in a very different direction. However, the movie was going to be a direct comic book adaptation, and no studio or country except France and Germany wanted to invest in the project. So many studios, including Walt Disney, Columbia, MGM, all turned it down. And eventually they ended up with New Line Cinema. Who were the only ones willing to take a risk on it because Masters of the Universe flopped so badly. Yeah. Of course, it was a huge success and went on to do very, very well. Judith Hoag was not asked back to reprise her role as April O'Neil in the film's sequels due to her own personal complaining, particularly about 6-day schedules and the amount of violence in the movie. She basically annoyed the crap out of everyone on set. So that's mine. It was really fun to read in. There was so much trivia that this was literally me writing it, having it again, highlighting it in green. There's so much fun stuff to read about with this. And I didn't even really get into much of the the Laird and Eastman stuff, but I would say as a rewatch, it was better than I thought, but I also don't need to see it again for a long time. So
I can see that.
Eric, were you reading it when it came out?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
Remember, it was so derivative of the Frank Miller Daredevil stuff. And in fact, their origin was Daredevil's origin. They were just on the sidelines of the mutagen that blinded Daredevil getting into the sewers.
That's so funny.
And the Foot Clan is just a takeoff on the Hand from Daredevil.
Yes, exactly, I did read that.
Yeah, so I remember it being, I had a couple of those early issues, and I was like, well, this is silly, but I kind of like the artwork.
Yeah, I was one issue late. I still have the original number 2. But because when it hit the indie comics, it was a gigantic hit.
Yeah.
And
but initially, only had a couple. Like it was such a, small through issue 8 or 10.
Many reprints. Enough that some of the reprints are worth a lot of money.
Oh, are they?
Wow.
But I remember. I think I've still got a few of the originals and a couple of the one-offs. Like they did the weird one-offs of each. Not nearly as good as that recent
IDW
run.
Right.
Yeah. That is so weird to hear you guys talking about it like that, because I was a kid, a little kid. I mean, I was 6 when the cartoon came out, and I was obsessed with it.
Yeah.
Like absolutely obsessed. And my brother, my much older brother, had the comics, and he had some of the early ones. And they're black and white, and I was little, and I didn't know what I was looking at. So I thought it was a coloring book.
Oh, no.
So I scribbled all over that thing.
No.
I still have that issue. It's a pretty early one. It's in pieces, but I loved it. I thought it was incredible.
Wow.
That's
all I have
amazing.
left now. I've got the, when First put together the big colorized and bound them all in the big volumes. I've got those, but that's all I've got anymore.
Yeah, I've got a couple. When growing up, there was no comic book shop in my town, so I got there's a place in Boise called New Mythology, which is sadly gone. That I'd get like a box a month, sort of like the box you get now when you go into the store, except you have to ship it to me. So that's where I was able to get them, because his dude shipped them well, so I was able to get them, and they were fun.
Since you brought it up, we should remind people that The Last Ronin, which is still ongoing. I think the next issue comes out this month. Finally.
Yes,
That is solid stuff.
It's incredible. And I love when they do things like callbacks. The Nickelodeon series, not the most recent one, but the one before that, did some really fun callbacks too. And it's nice when you know that the people who are behind it really care. But this one, is it Eastman or Laird writing this guy?
I don't remember.
This new one, I think it's Eastman and Laird.
Yeah, I think it's one of the few first time they've re-collaborated.
Yeah, which we got to see in that the toys that made us about the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yeah,
sure.
Almost brought me to tears to see them working together, because I know they had cantankerous falling out
for a long time.
Very long.
Well, mine is nowhere near as well known as either of yours.
That's probably for the best. Less trivia.
Still have some of that though. This is the one I went with was from 2012, called Bad Kids Go to Hell.
How many bad kids today?
Max, I wouldn't classify any of our students as bad kids.
See, Max, graduating students often feel pressure, which causes them to behave irrationally.
Here at Crestview, we frown upon physically assaulting the retarded students.
I'm not retarded!
Of course not. Good for you.
And when you mix all of these personality types together 10 months out of the year, it's no wonder students come with fits of jealousy, rage, paranoid delusion. Honestly, Max, it's a miracle they don't all kill each other. Damn.
Oh yeah, this is gonna rock.
While pondering your erroneous ways, 6 of you will write a summary on the history of Crestview Academy. And the double doors will remain locked until I return.
Are you sure this place is safe?
Confident the 6 of you can survive an entire 8 hours.
When he returned, the roads filled with blood. Dun, 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 dun.
Right then. I'll be off.
New kids, let's get one thing perfectly clear. We're in detention. Yeah, this is not a love-in. This is not feel-good 80s movie of the year, where for 7 hours we put aside our diffs and through commiserating about our mutually dysfunctional family lives or how lonely or alienated we each feel, we find some sort of common ground and end up as BFFs. Spirit, show us your presence. He's real.
I am not familiar with this.
Yeah,
This
same.
was Rotten Tomato ranking of 44 from critics, 35 from the crowd, which is, the rare drop. Budget, no freaking clue. Nothing on budget or box office or anything. It's available as a rental through a lot of places.
Did you know about this before?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. For one big reason. I tried to show it at the first official Crypticon Film Festival. But it was, and this happens almost every year, because I open up for submissions in October and I get a bunch of really cool movies. And it's like, oh, let's show this and this. And by the time Crypticon rolls around, they've all been picked up and they can't screen anymore. And that's what happened with this one.
Mm.
So, yeah, I'd known about this for a while. It's directed by Matthew Spradlin, who is also the writer of the comic. Him and Chris Allen and Anthony Vargas were the creative team that put it together. Let's see. So we've got, he's also directed something called The Devils, which is obviously not the first movie you think of when you hear that. He has also done some writing for the unofficial, unauthorized comic book of the 50th anniversary of Earth. I don't know what that is.
Seems
Wait.
like there's been more anniversaries.
I was going to say 50th?
Yes. Yeah.
Hold on.
Oh, sorry. Earth Day.
Oh.
That was on the next line down.
That makes a lot more sense.
It really does.
There we go. Hollow Heights. And also writing were Barry Wernick, who's known for the Kosher Chili Cook-Off. Get Ready, Get Set, Testify, and Bad Kids of Crestview Academy, which is the sequel to this film.
Hmm.
Stars Cameron Dean Stewart, who's done a lot of TV, Pitch Perfect, and the Aquarius miniseries.
Hmm.
Ben Browder from Farscape and Stargate. Judd Nelson.
Wow.
Breakfast Club. Angie Duke, who's in Spring, and she's got like 10 things in various levels of production right now. And another Plan 9 from Outer Space. Movie starts with one of my least favorite ways to start a movie. Oh, this shit happens 8 hours earlier.
Oh, jeez.
Okay, whatever. It's sad right from the beginning. We had a very sad moment. The badass guy of the movie shows up and wrecks his very nice Smokey and the Bandit Firebird. Browder is in there playing the school janitor who seems maybe he's a little simple. Or is he?
Oh.
The lead guy is beyond, he's trying not to get expelled. And for some reason, he decides that showing up at Saturday detention, yes, Breakfast Club inspired, will somehow give him the chance to talk to the principal or whatever and get himself unexpelled. So, okay. Boy, the cast is a bunch of Warner Brothers looking cast members. I mean, good. This is like Pretty Boy and Lady High School. But of course, they're mostly, I think the oldest is like 26.
Okay.
But they're all pretty much adults. The counselor does a full-on thing about the attitude of the movie and stuff. It's kind of like, oh, all right, I see what you're getting at. I don't need to know that. Could have just watched it, but okay. And has the line, it's a miracle they don't all kill each other. Foreshadowing?
Oh.
There's a lot of homages to Breakfast Club in this movie. They're all in a library. It's a 2-story library. They've got 2 rows of 3 tables with them set up, and there's this weird giant statue at the end, just like in the Breakfast Club, except this statue actually has some significance. They complain about, can we go to the bathroom? I mean, it's all very much, okay, you guys love Breakfast Club. There's some effects in here that works really well. They have a lot of CGI created giant cockroaches that don't necessarily, I mean, not giant, but like large cockroaches, like arachnophobia versus a regular spider, kind of big.
But what is the genre of this comic?
Horror.
It is? Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, pretty much a horror. So here you go. The idea is the legend of the ghost. I got this from reading the comic and didn't realize it wasn't revealed until later on in the movie. I was picking up on something that's happening in the movie. I'm going, oh, I know what's going on because it was in the comic. But the idea is people have things that pop into their heads and they just do them. And they're, not good things, of course. And that's why they're all into detention. The Breakfast Club had the big dramatic scenes where they all explain how they got in there and like he pulled the elephant. It didn't work. This one, they just show you what they did wrong. Partially, I think, because, that's a lot harder to pull off really well. The school, of course, is built on sacred Native American land.
Ooh, that always goes well.
And the first kid who dies, there's no phones, of course. All their phones have been taken away and all this stuff. And then you get the moment of freak out. They run around the library trying to find any way out. And of course, that really doesn't work.
Is it from the cockroaches?
No, she's has breathing problems.
Oh.
And the cockroaches I don't think they kill anyone. They're just annoying people. But they set it up where there's construction going on. So there's a forklift that's jammed against the doors so they can't open, and there's scaffolding against all the windows that is like chain link scaffolding so they can't get through the windows. So they're trapped. Trying to find weapons, can't find any, make little jokes. Okay.
Well, I'm lost on this.
Mm-hmm.
What is attacking them?
They don't know yet.
Oh, okay. Yeah, what are they trying to find weapons for then?
Because the one guy died. Whoever died of that, something attacked him. I don't think they saw it. But they're trying to figure out, they're freaking out because the person died violently and it was hard to explain. So now they're running around going, ah!
I see. Okay.
The reveal that they're trapped was not the greatest CGI shot either. It's like pull back from the crowd. Here, look at all this scaffolding. Look at the cartoon. Judd Nelson is an ass in the film. He shows up in the flashbacks. He's not the guy you'd think he'd be. He's not like the principal who's overseeing them. Has some pretty snarky bad lines about how the guy goes after the retarded kid in the wheelchair, and the hero's like, he's not retarded, he's just in a wheelchair.
Oh my God.
It's bad you treated this kid this way.
Oh my God.
Okay. He does that a lot through the whole movie. So of course now they've gotten a little bit closer, so let's get into the air ducts, right? That's what you do when you're trapped in a room.
Okay.
You find the giant air ducts that a person fits in, that all places have.
Yeah.
And that's one of the scenes the cockroaches come in, where somebody gets in there, and of course they're flooded with cockroaches and they have to go back. None of these people are likable. And, it's just bad kids go to hell. So they're all kind of assholes, and they're all saying, yeah, okay, you got killed. I'm okay with that. It has a really weird sense of humor that when it works is actually really good, but it doesn't always work. It's kind of a weird, dark, not quite twisted, just weird, dark humor. And sometimes it pulls off really good. Then you're realizing, is this a hoax? What is going on here? Are these ghosts real? Are they not?
So it's ghosts?
That's what they're thinking it is. They have like weird green things that show up. And the way people die can also be explained away by somebody setting traps up to kill them.
I see.
They do a good job. I mean, it's written by the guy who wrote the comic, so they recreate the comic quite well. It's a really good adaptation. There is also the convenience of, since it's a construction site, we've got another thing. You've got the air ducts everybody can fit into, and now you have a nail gun. Because everybody leaves highly expensive, giant, dangerous tools just sitting around. And then you get to what feels like the end. Here's the ending. Here's what's going on. Or is it?
Uh-oh.
Not really, no. There's more. I'm okay spoiling this one because it's, if you want to watch it, you'll watch it. You're not going to care. But it's sort of a Scooby-Doo kind of ending. I was just going
to say, are we in Scooby-Doo territory?
Yes, very much so. But I'll leave the end credits, which darkens the hell out of the story. You can watch and discover that. It's like, holy shit. But yeah, it's very much we got you measly kids because we got to make a money or some shit like that.
Right.
Taglines. Daddy's money can't save them now.
Oh my God.
See, because they're very specific kids too. They've been picked because their parents were either designing the library, paid for the library, something like that. So they're all people that are connected to this Native American land being used. The other tagline, the feel bad movie of the year.
Sure.
It's not quite that, but I like that one. They still have an active website too. It's like a crestview.academy.com, and it kind of looks like a school. It's like a school website. Not all the links are there, but a lot of them are. But they've got little telltale things to show us something weird, like a cockroach runs across the street kind of thing. And it's a fun website. It's worth having there. I read all of these for free online at graphitecomics.com. The physical copies are out of print and fairly expensive. And so I was like, well, is there some way I can read these? Yes, there is. Some good music is put together in this film. It's very much like a music of the time. The indie kind of rock stuff is played, and it fits. I'm not say it's necessarily all music that I went out and won the soundtrack for, but it fits the movie and it fits 2012. And one of the ads was a parody of a very famous National Lampoon cover. Remember the one where there's a dog on the cover with the gun?
Yep.
Buy the magazine or we'll kill the dog. They recreated that cover, all the fonts, all the images. Around the top, except it said National Lampoon. It said bad kids go to hell with a female student and says, if you don't buy this magazine, we'll kill this girl.
Oh my gosh.
Or see this movie, we'll kill this girl. It's like, oh, that's random and really weird. I think they just wanted to do it because it has no connection to anything that's going on in the movie. It's just like somebody wanted to do that. The indie comic was so successful at the time that they had you cast the movie on the sections of the website so the fans could put in their votes for who they wanted to play the roles of the film.
Wow.
Some of these, Ben Browder and Judd Nelson, were ones that the fans suggested for roles to be in it. And also some of the side characters, Mark Donate, Chanel Ryan, and Al Faulkner, were all selected from fan voting online.
Whoa.
I was like, wow.
That's one way to cast your movie.
They looked at all the things and took the suggestions, and if they were good enough, they took them. I'm sure Judd Nelson, though, was like, perfect. Okay, this is some weird special effects notes. Amanda Alk, who plays kind of the nerdy girl, who's, the nerd in glasses, hair, that kind of thing. She does her moment of I'm going to do something stupid was stripping in a classroom. She wore pasties for the filming. And then the effects team went back and filmed her nipples. And then put those on the pasties.
What?
So
why?
Although she didn't actually perform naked, that actually is herself naked.
That's a lot of effort to get back to point A.
Yeah. So I was like, because apparently there's, an uproar that, it's obviously not her really there. The effects look a little funny. I'm like, how closely are you watching this movie, guys? But no, apparently it really was her.
Wow.
Okay. See, fan of the comic book series, would almost follow the filmmakers around, sort of a touring with them, just trying to get the movie made and stuff along those lines and helped with the website. They decided, well, we're going to give a chance for some of these fans to appear in the movie. So some of the background characters in the lunchroom scenes and stuff are fans that followed them around during the convention. So I do not remember this comic book at all, for as popular as it sounds like it was.
Yeah, no kidding. I've never even heard of it.
They did a sequel in 2017 called Bad Kids of the Crestview Academy. Not as well rated as this one, but filmed in Austin, Texas. Back-to-back Texas movies for me for these last 2 weeks.
I have questions.
Oh, yes. I have maybe some answers.
So if this is a Scooby-Doo situation, we're finding out that there is no supernatural.
Right.
Why are the kids getting an idea and then acting on it impulsively?
That's, like I said, that's more from the comic book. The comic book, I think, ends a little differently.
Oh, okay.
And I realized I inserted the comic book stuff into the film.
I see.
And so... that
was a very unsatisfying answer.
Yes, it is.
Well, all right. Eric, I believe it is your choice for next.
Yes, it is. And this is one that's brought to us from a value for value buddy, Jamie. And suggested a couple names, and we went through those. And, well, I don't know. These are not as genre as we want. But he came up with another one that is genre hero.
Oh.
Barbara Crampton.
Never heard of her.
I know. You'll learn. So I would say we'll do a Barbara Crampton thing like we've done Kurt Russell and what else did we do?
Crampton Comes Alive. That's the title of this next one.
Yeah, I like that. That'll work.
Okay, so we're doing Barbara Crampton for our films next week.
Fantastic.
I would say probably pass on Reanimator, but beyond that,
I think that's safe. Yeah.
Yeah. That's easy enough.
Yeah.
Fantastic. And that means it's time to thank everybody who's participating in the value for value model. It sure is working out well for us. I hope everybody is getting, what they want out of this. And the way it works is whatever you get out of this, give it back in some way.
Yeah.
Like and share the post. Some people are donating money. Some people are donating whiskey. That works.
Yes.
Some people are donating art.
Some people are donating art,
and comfortable chairs.
Exactly. So we will also point out that there is an Etsy page, the Strange Eons Radio Etsy page, where you can get some lovely underwear, male or female.
True. I'm glad we got that taken care of, guys.
Shirts and all that stuff. And then also Danny Williford has an Etsy page. He's got the coins available on his page.
Yeah.
And I think he's got the Rob Corliss art t-shirt that had the bloody Strange Eons Radio on the wall and stuff like that. Because I know one person was wearing that.
Oh, yeah?
Wade Chitwood was wearing that.
Nice.
That's so cool.
So anyway, that is us thanking you profusely from the bottom of our hearts. We are coming back 1 week from today. We're talking Barbara Crampton, and we will see you then. Our show is recorded somewhere high above Naval Station Everett at the nexus of all realities and is engineered and produced by Eric Morgret. Our theme music is Strange Eons Part 1 by the band Nightshade and is used with permission. Find Strange Eons Radio on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and wherever fine podcasts are found.
I have no relevance to this concept.